Let's start, inshallah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على رسولنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وأتباعه وسلم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. So, Surah Al-Buruj, this is week 4. So, we discussed وَالسَّمَاءِ ذَاتِ الْبُرُوجِ وَالْيَوْمِ الْمَوْعُودِ وَالشَّاهِدِ وَالْمَشْهُودِ. I'll just repeat this once more. I don't know if we can, but maybe we can wrap up the topic today. So let's remember where we started. So by the skies possessed of constellations, and by the promised day, by the witness and witnessed. So this is establishing the theme of the surah based on these three. And what I remember from those discussions, Sama with the constellation is a signifier of order in the creation, in the existence. But also it mentions observing a certain pattern in the existence, right? So you start seeing something interesting and you said, well, this should mean something. You see as a certain pattern. وَالْيَوْمِ الْمَوْعُودِ, we said that the promised day, I do expect something to happen based on my actions. Like I do actions, I'm expecting to get a reaction towards that because the whole existence, I do something and something is being created right after. So this is the second thing. And then وَشَاهِدُ وَمَشْهُودُ, now attracting my attention to humans' basic duty of observing and also reminding me that I am being observed. My observations are being observed by the one who gives me this sight. So this is setting the stage, and then reminded us of Ashab al-Ukhdud, makers of the ditch, makers of the tunnel, and how they treated believers. And we were reading this so far in the sense of, again, a fight between belief and unbelief. And somebody who doesn't have belief in their lives, why would they like to come up? Why would they like to take revenge from believers? Okay, we have a special guest today, mashallah. From London. From London. Wa alaikum assalam. Yeah. Alhamdulillah. It has been a long while. Okay, so so there was this depiction of a struggle between, or a practice of, if you like, revenge from the unbeliever towards the believer, and we talked about that. And then interestingly, within the surah, there were descriptions of the creator in between. And then وَمَا نَقَمُوا مِنْهُمْ إِلَّا يُؤْمِنُوا بِاللَّهِ الْعَزِيزِ الْحَمِيدِ. So they wanted to take revenge from them, from believers, for nothing but they kept believing in Allah, the mighty, the owner of praise. So the conversation then was taking about the dispute or the hatred of the denier towards believer is for nothing but they keep believing in Allah. But then it didn't leave it there. He said, Allah al-Aziz al-Hamid. They believe in a specific creator. Like the hatred wouldn't be the way I am now reading this, probably, just speculating. Let's say, yeah, I'm a Buddhist and I believe in Buddha. So, yeah, it's fine. Your belief is yours, my belief is mine, and we should be like, it's diversity. We should be respecting each other's and whatnot. But Billahi al-Aziz al-Hamid, the creator, when it's a creator, al-Aziz and al-Hamid, a mighty and owner of praise, this is where the problem starts happening. Like, and throughout the surah, there are going to be more descriptions of that creator. And again, that creator, belief in that creator is being the source of the problem, or being the source of why denier is wanting to take revenge from the believer. So let's keep that point in mind, because we will keep reading more descriptions today. And in the following verse, it says, الَّذِي لَهُ مُلْكُ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. So that creator, that Allah, is to whom belongs the sovereignty of the heavens and the earth. And وَاللَّهُ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ شَهِيدٌ. And Allah is of all things the witness. And we talked about that, so I am passing this part quick. And then there was this verse, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ فَتَنُوا الْمُؤْمِنِينَ وَالْمُؤْمِنَاتِ. So there was this verse about if they repent, if they do not repent, the fire and the hell is for them. So the door for repentance was being opened there, because still the creator is creating that in an interaction with the unbeliever and the believer. And the door is open for repentance. But in the absence of that, there's going to be hell and fire. We talked about that. And on the other hand, for the believer, those who believe, those who are living in the security and then living by it, acting by it. And by this, as we were talking, interestingly, Imam Nursi was mentioning Amilus Salihat as tawakkul, which was interesting to me. He mentions, he talks about Iman, and as a consequence of Iman, talks about tawakkul when interpreting the verse Amanu wa Amilus Salihat. So instead of Amalus Salihat, he interprets it in a broader sense of tawakkul, reliance on the Creator. Because Amalus Salihat means good actions. But what is the good action? It's going to be a consequence of your conviction. Whatever you do, rely on the Creator. This is what makes your action a good action. You will do something anyways. But tawakkul means, do I expect the outcome from my action, or do I expect the outcome from my Creator? This is where the distinction starts. And this is tawakkul. Relying on the Creator per my action. So, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ لَهُمْ جَنَّاتٌ تَجْرِي مِنْ تَحْتِهَا الْأَنْهَارُ. Those who have this conviction, this security, and act by it. Now I am reading this as act by having this reliance on the Creator for their actions. They're going to be living in a paradise-like life in this world and afterlife. And we talked about that. Okay, now comes today's text, today's verses. Inna batsha rabbika lashadid. Indeed, the grip meaning like holding somebody like this, or strike, the punishment, there are different translations I saw, of your Lord is severe. Innahu huwa yubdi'u wa yu'id. Indeed, he it is who creates and recreates. In this sentence, there's double emphasis. Innahu, indeed he, huwa, he, yubdi'u wa yu'id. Again, in yubdi'u, there's another he. So like triple emphasis in this sentence. It is he, indeed, well, actually four emphasis. It starts with indeed, and then says he, three times, sort of. Innahu huwa yubdi'u wa yu'id. Indeed, it is he who creates and then recreates. Which I should question myself, why is there so much emphasis? Which probably it is that I am giving part of it to somebody else, that there is so much emphasis.
What is the word for creation here?
Bada'a, starts, the first, ibda. So yu'id is giving it back, like the one that starts and gives it back. And ibda is i'ada, and ibda is like within it as a term, it's being used for ibda versus insha. Ibda is creating from nothing. Insha is used for reusing the material and building things up. So in this sense, ibda means creation. إنه هو يبدئ ويعيد وهو الغفور الودود, and he is the forgiving, the loving. ذو العرش المجيد, Lord of the throne of glory. فعال لما يريد, doer of what he wills. So again, a group of description came of the creator. Like, let's try to see the big picture. There were 3 initial verses which set the stage. Then there came roughly 5 verses or so describing what the people of the ditch, makers of the ditch, does. And then there was a comparison of unbelievers' hell and believers' paradise. And then came, before that, he said that those people hate believers not for nothing but they believe in Allah, and came a description of creator. Then talked about hell and paradise for the unbeliever and believer, and we are back to again description of the creator. So a few questions. First, let's go with how can I confirm these descriptions? Like the creator says, indeed your Lord is such and such. Does this make sense to me? Does it ring any bells? Do I agree with that? So let's start with the first one. Inna batsha rabbika lashadid. Indeed, the grip or the strike of your Lord is severe. What does this mean in my day-to-day life? Do I experience this? Indeed, the grip of my Lord is severe. And eventually I'm going to also ask the question, how are these descriptions of the creator related to the prior parts of the surah? These are the set of questions I have here. How does it add to the narrative that we are now going through? Wa alaikum assalam. Inna batsha rabbika lashadid. What do you think? Indeed, the grip of your Lord is severe. Yes.
Maybe I found myself in a situation like I can't get out of it, even if I struggle or whatever. It's not, my job.
So do we feel like I can get away with things? This reminds me that indeed his grip on you is so tight. I sometimes tend to feel like, let's say with IRS, okay? In America, it's serious. So you said that, well, I mean, they will notice if I do not report that. They are not scrutinizing every single one. Once in a while, they come up for what's it called, audit. So, well, let's give it a chance. They are not as like tight of a grip that they have. But if they hold you, then yeah, they will squeeze the life out of you. So how do I feel about my creator? But despite this, still, when we are filing our taxes, we are being extremely careful and cautious and whatnot, because we know that if they hold a grip hold of you, then they will squeeze you so bad. We also know that. That's why we are being cautious towards IRS. How about my Lord? The word here is Rabb. Indeed, the grip of your Lord is so severe. This is a reminder for me. But once I hear this, maybe I'm thinking otherwise, but this is a reminder. It's saying that your Lord has a very tight grip on you. And if I think about it, which we were discussing last week when we mentioned flowing rivers. For the believer, there were those rivers that flowed. We said, which rivers are we talking about? We said, well, there are rivers of milk and honey. We talked about this. In this existence, there are rivers of milk and honey that we experience. In this existence, there is a river of, if you like, air. So my sustainer is really from everywhere, spoon feeding me with air, actually spoon feeding every single cell of my body. My Lord has a very tight hold of me. In every aspect of me, I am being maintained. Where am I going to escape? And even there's another verse that challenges, saying that if you think you can, then get out of my dominion. If you can, okay, then go out of it. Where are you going to escape? Even if you think like the dominion consists of the space, can you escape from yourself? Even yourself is a dominion of your creator. Where are you going to flee? Where are you going to escape? So your Lord's grip on you is so tight. And it's not saying inna batshallahi lashadid. It's not the verse like indeed the grip of God is very severe. He doesn't say that, but Rabbika. So your Lord, the one who takes care of you. So there's this emphasis about how do I know? Just look at the maintenance that's happening on you. There you will realize how closely you are being observed, how closely you are being taken care of. Yes.
What about the first definition of grip that you were going with? So I don't see that in my life. Like
Which one?
getting away with things.
Mm-hmm.
Like you see people doing bad things, or even yourself, like you're not, even if you commit a sin like this, you can say like you can get away with those things.
So yeah, can I get away with those? This is the question, right? So I do something wrong. Walaikum assalam. Can I get away with those actions? This is why it's reminding me. Because I feel like actually when it comes to how we think about our Lord's closeness to us, we are afraid of IRS more than we are afraid of the Creator. We feel like you can get away from God, but not from IRS, as if this is the impression. That's why the verse is saying that indeed the grip of your Lord is very tight, very severe. You are so much afraid of IRS. Think about your Creator. Well, actually, think about your Lord, who is giving you every single breath that you are taking. And this also takes us to the previous verses, which was mentioning Wallahu ala kulli shay'in shaheed. Indeed, Allah is a witness over everything. Like his scrutiny is way more than what IRS does. So don't think, as if this verse is saying that don't think, this is why it starts with indeed, don't think that your Lord's grip is loose. It is very tight. Which then I should apply to this feeling of, yeah, I can get away with it. Sometimes we feel like abusing creators or our notion of creators' love. We say that, well, God is so merciful, man. What is he going to gain by burning me in hell anyways? I think he's so merciful and he's going to put me in paradise. He's such a merciful creator. I know him. Like
He likes to
idea, you like it? So this grip is so tight. This is our attitude generally, but do I deserve it? Yeah. Well, okay.
It just made me think like parent and child, like the grip is tight with affection and love, but also the tight with observing what you're doing, and you don't get hurt, and also making sure you're following those rules. I wonder if it's that love. like
Actually, in some translations, they translated this as punishment, strike, which also makes sense because, but striking here of my creator. So if the word Rabbike in here is again in this sense important because as you said, it sounds with a, like Rabb is a word of mercy. Right? It has the connotation of mercy rather than, let's say, wrath. And this verse using Rabb, mentioning me of my creator as a Rabb rather than as an annihilator, for example, says that in his strike, there's a notion of mercy. So as you were saying for the parent is going to watch out for the child to follow rules and whatnot so that, I mean, rules being, like for Ali, for example, as when we start praying, he goes to the drawer with the knives, takes out a knife, and we left the watermelon out there. He takes and tries to cut it. Atik, you're not even able to cut apple, you know? He is starting with watermelon. Not a good idea. So what do? Like this is a rule at home that you should never use knife, especially if you are 2-year-old. So we are, of course, in a rush, finish the prayer, praying that he's not going to do something wrong by that time. And then, like, we say, no, you're not going to do it. Like, we're not being very polite in this case because not yet, alhamdulillah. So, but it's a repeating pattern, so inshallah we won't. So, we are not being polite. Why? Because this child is not acting with his reason at this age. He is acting by his feelings, by his just, I mean, he thinks it's going to be fun. So scaring is going to be the thing that helps him to not do it next time until he develops this sense of, oh, I'm going to harm myself. He doesn't think about that at this moment. So I cannot simply sit and say, oh, look, my son doesn't, he doesn't understand it at this moment. So, and certain aspects of us, even if we understand that it's wrong, my feelings will sometime overcome and say that, yeah, I know smoking is bad, but yeah, it sounds so, it feels so good. And I keep smoking. You don't smoke, do you? So,
So I was planning to talk about something else, but because now it's an interesting topic. So I'm not going to suggest a new parent. That's not the point.
okay.
I think we shouldn't forget with such anomalies, there's always a gap between what we observe, what we experience, and what we should understand about the creator. And what I mean with that, yes, we do that, for instance, in parenting. Sometimes even we, like some people, not me, of course, but some people even, let's say, slap their children, right? To teach something. She's about to harm herself, and you just scare her so that she won't do that, and so on and so forth. This is how we do it. Let's say everybody does the same thing. Let's assume for a second. This is how we do it, and so on and so forth. Taking it this way and then directly applying to creator, oh, that means the creator also, I mean, you see in parenting, we do that, and we love our kids, we are merciful, so this is a scare or slap of a mercy. Hence, I can apply the same thing to creator, and when something bad happens to me, the creator is, scaring me or punishing me as a mercy, and so on and so forth. I think the part which is missing is that we do that because we are lacking. Like, I don't have absolute mercy. I don't have absolute power, will, and so on. That's the best thing I can do as a human being. So this also applies to, the other example, like when we think about, we say that this life is education place, and so on and so forth. That's true. But the education system we have here is a limited, lacking education system. So we cannot take all these examples as they are and apply it to the creator, just like a mother, loves her child. and sometimes get angry, same thing applies to creator. No, we cannot say that. Like it's just an analogy, it's just a resemblance, as example. So we should be careful there, I think. The main point I wanted to mention about this ayah, the grip of your Lord is clear, like together with the following ayahs and the ayah before, a few ayahs before, I wonder whether we can also interpret it in additionally such way that in life, like in previous two ayahs, for instance, it was talking about the people of hellfire and then people of heaven. And you say, isn't there a neutral zone? Like I'm not harming anyone, I'm not going against anything, I'm just trying to live my life, right? So do I have to believe in God? Like, yeah, I don't believe in God, but who cares, right? I'm just being neutral. Like neutral in the sense that I don't care. I'm not, harming anyone, as ayah suggests.
It's important to be a good people.
Yes, I'm trying to be good people and so on and so forth. And there must be a neutral zone in life where the grip of creator, not there. I mean, yeah, he's creating certain things, maybe he created at the beginning of the universe and so on and so forth. But it's not in my life. It's your problem. If you want to believe in God, believe in God. I don't believe in God. So such an attitude. And the ayah says, this is not possible because everywhere you look, everything about you is in his grip. It's so powerful that you cannot find anything without referring to him. It is not possible. So when you don't refer to him, you are stealing something from him. Because as previous ayah suggested, لَهُ مُلْكُ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. So everything belongs to him. If you want to claim that this is my neutral zone, the God doesn't interfere, you are stealing something. So, in politics, the international law and so on, we say, okay, this area belongs to Syria, this is Turkey, and because there's a conflict in between, we will have a neutral zone. But in reality, it's stealing from the sovereignty of Syria, right? When you do that. The same thing that you're stealing from the sovereignty of the God when you say that this is my life. And the ayah says, no, the grip is so shadid, like there's no escape from. Everything is created by him. The next ayah. Everything, whatever you think of, the origin of it, it's him. The reputation of it, it's him. There's no such thing, or maybe at the beginning he created, but now this form exists. Right? The reservation, what is the preservation of the mess? It exists. He created already, created it. So I don't need creator anymore. No, also it belongs to him, right? Like he is the one keep creating. Every single moment that I can imagine needs to go to him. All the remaining ayahs, like defining such a creator.
Yep. So it's not then like, oh yeah, in the birth, yeah, somehow I get this DNA code, but then it's just replicates, DNA replicates itself. I mean, it's not that he gives or recreates the cell and whatnot, it's just replication. Just a single word that explains everything, right? Yeah, and replication as if it happens by itself. Indeed, it is he who creates or who initially creates, and also he creates at every single instance as well, like recreation. There was a message. Does God having absolute mercy mean it needs to be displayed in everything, is what Dua is asking. I think yes, but to what extent is my question? Like for instance, when you see a human being versus when you see a cat, they're not the same creation, although they are manifestation of the same creator. Like different colors are being manifest on certain things, which means the manifestation itself is not the absolute itself. The manifestation has limited manifestation. In some places, you will see more mercy. In some places, you will see less mercy, but more, I don't know, I would use the word anger, because I do think that anger exists or manifests in the existence too. But I agree that my anger, my way of being angry with people is different reasons. But for example, the act of denial or unbelief or being unthankful is worthy of anger. Like the insisting to deny, the act of insisting to deny is worthy of anger. But mercy, that this is a being that deserves to be corrected, is manifesting at the same time with the anger, is my understanding. But if we say that from that manifestation, though, reaching to the absolute source, this is what we are up to. That would be my take. Brother Birkan might agree or disagree, but inshallah, let's leave it here. إِنَّهُ هُوَ يُبْدِئُ وَيُعِيدُ. Indeed, it is He who creates and recreates. And this does not only mean He creates human once at the beginning and who will create human later on in the afterlife. And in between, it happens by itself. This doesn't say that. Because every moment, if we think about it, I am being given existence, and the next moment, I am being given existence again, despite all the change in the existence. Nothing is constant in this existence.
The emphasis on, as you said, the emphasis on who several times.
Yeah.
Right? The verb, like when you say you, for instance, it already has by inside. But then we have extra two and then inna at the beginning. So it's almost like putting it in our eyes that there is no such thing as He created a phone and then phone exists by itself. No, every instance of this phone needs to go to Him, so return to Him.
So it's not like He created and set up the order, and then now the order acts by itself.
Every single moment He creates.
Yeah. And of course, the question becomes, is it really? How can I confirm that? Do I say this because the revelation says so? Or once revelation says such a thing, is there a way that I can go and confirm that this is the case? I need to ask the question, if now the creator says, indeed, He is the one who keeps creating, then I should ask the question, well, is it really? I thought the cell was replicating by itself. Now, there are two possible explanations before me. Cell replicates by itself, or the creator is creating the cell. Then I need to ask the question, what is required to replicate the cell? Because now I am looking for a doer of this action, right? I mean, to put this very simple, stupid example, if there's a pie on the table and there are two explanations, either Bushra made the cake or Bushra's mom made the cake, let's say. I mean, to simplify the example. Then you ask the question, to make the cake, what is required? At least somebody should be able to reach to what's it, countertop. Automatically, Bushra is disqualified.
Yes.
Right? Among many things, she does not even satisfy the lowest of the requirements, which is being able to reach the countertop. So in order to make a cell, what is required? In order to create a cell, give existence to a cell, to give life to the cell. Such a knowledge is being manifest there. And that knowledge is not only limited to the cell itself, but to the knowledge surrounding the life environment of the cell, because cell is not existing in the vacuum. The cell is existing in this planet with the sunlight coming, with the atmosphere conditions here, And the input and output of this cell is related to all the other life around. So whomever is making the cell should be able to make everything around. So the knowledge in here is not limited only to the genetic code of this cell. The knowledge needed to make the cell is way above and beyond the cell itself. This is where we say, whomever made the cell, since the existence is so intricate, must be knowing everything in this existence. Such a knowledge is required to make a single cell. Now, whom do I attribute this making of the cell? I say, well, cell makes itself. What is it in this case? Or the previous cell makes this cell. Like, it doesn't make any sense in this case, automatically disqualified. Therefore, I say, indeed, yes, it is only he, the one who has been creating and ever creating, is the one that does it. So the idea of God created the setup, the system, and gave the qualities to them to recreate, and now they are doing it. I mean, this verse is clearly shouting at my face, saying that, how dare.
And the function that the concept of God, it belongs to religious people. Let them deal with it. I'm not a religious person, so God is not in your. The ayah says no, it's in your cells. Everywhere you look, you will see the Zul Arsh Majid. Like everywhere you look, you will see that it is his throne of glory manifested there. Everywhere.
Yeah. So before coming there, then he mentions why is this in between? It is the forgiver and loving. So there are mistakes that I'm going to make. Ghafur is indicative that mistakes must exist first and foremost, but I already know I make a lot of mistakes. But he is forgiving and he is loving. If nothing else, the desire in me to be forgiven and the desire in me to be loved is that expectation there. Like your lungs, by just looking at your lungs, you would say that, well, if only there was oxygen, because the need for oxygen is there and the oxygen is there. Need is responded immediately. And in you, when you do something wrong, you would like that dirt to be cleansed. That desire is there. And who doesn't want to be loved? People want to be appreciated. People want to be loved. Again, I didn't choose it. This is how I am born with. Even with the kids, like they do something and the parents laugh at it, they keep repeating it. What does this mean? They like to be appreciated. People want to be loved. Whose love and forgiveness am I in need of? Who can really cleanse me from my mistakes? And the ultimate mistake being made, as Brother Birkan was saying, whose territory am I getting into, stepping over to? He can only forgive me. And I am in need of a cleansing from that resource. And he says, indeed, he is the one that cleanses it. How does this cleansing happen? Actually, you can also feel that. Once you undo this wrongdoing, initially I was stealing a piece of land from the Creator, a territory from His sovereignty, giving it back to Him, cleansing the dirt, saying, oh, I was wrong. Forgive me for that. And that forgiveness is only can come from Him, and the feeling of forgiveness is also being given to you by the security that's being created. Because I did wrong, now I say, oh yes, actually the cell was belonging to you. And Vedud, right after coming, with this cleansing, I do observe that this act of creation of cell is a loving creation. Because everything in this existence is being done with utmost care, saying that somebody is looking after me. Then, as Brother Birkan mentioned, comes Al-Arsh al-Majid, throne of glory. He is the owner of a glorious throne. Which throne is that? Brother Birkan was saying that a cell is a throne of the Creator. It's a glorious throne of the Creator. Air is a throne of the Creator. Earth is a throne of the Creator. And we talked about this Arsh before in previous discussions. But just to remember, how is it that a cell is a throne of the Creator? You do observe authority of your Creator on a cell. Like if you go to government buildings, you see a flag before those buildings. Government buildings. You see a flag before them. What does this flag signify? It says this building is where the government is seated. Like it is acting in here. This is a government building. Or if you go to any country, you see that their flag is like, then you say that this is a seat of, what do they say? Anyways, the throne of that kingdom is here, meaning it is acting, it is there under their authority. So cell becomes throne of the Creator. Your body becomes throne of the Creator. Your heart becomes throne of the Creator as well. He is the one that is maintaining everything, yeah. And what you see there is nothing but his actions. Like if you see
The next item.
فعل
Of whatever.
فعل لما يريد, yeah. He is the doer of whatever he wills. So what is it that I observe? Do I attribute it partially to God and then partially to helpers of God? For example, I mean, when we say God created things and then now things are acting by themselves, is sort of an idea. That's sort of an idea. It's not the act of Creator anymore. Indirectly, maybe at best, but God created the system and now the system is functioning. Or another more primitive understanding could have been, oh yeah, angels are acting. Like God created things, and it's just a more Muslim version of saying the same thing. God created the angels, gave them the whatever authority or power, and now they take care of things like the rain and whatnot. Yeah, Mikhail is handling these sort of jobs. And like Azrael, yeah, he's the guy who is the one that comes and takes away the spirit. Like his actual doers is our perception. Are they the actual doers of these actions? So whose throne is there? These are two same ideas with different words. I just use different words to express. If I understand it as such, then that means it's not the throne of the Creator. He has helpers. That means, yeah, he created initially, but recreation, yeah, certain angels are taking care of that. Doesn't seem to be the case. فَعَلٌ لِمَا يُرِيد. This is an interesting verse. Doer of whatever he wills. What do you understand from here? Do you observe this in the existence? The Creator is the doer of whatever he wills. How do you know?
I can say the opposite. Like in the creation, we see that everything happens because there are some laws.
Yeah.
A form is being created in the same way every moment, not because the created one, because there is a preservation of the matter, energy, whatever. That's the opposite.
Yeah. Do you observe the will of the Creator in the existence? Do you observe a will at play? Let me put it this way. Do you observe a will in action in this existence? I remember having a conversation with a friend, and that was an eye-opener for me. I said, look at this existence, what's happening? Everything is happening, a new action is happening. Like, for example, if you put a seed under the soil and you water it, what's happening? A new plant starts flourishing. A new action, this is a new action. And action needs a doer. So what is needed? As in our example with the cake, what is needed? I told him that definitely a knowledge is needed, right? Because it's being done in a certain way. He said, yes, I agree, there's a knowledge needed. I said, there's power needed, right? Because it's a new existence. Things are being brought together. A new creation is happening. He said, yes, I agree. Power is needed. I said, a will is required because a choice is being made. He said, I don't see any choice being made in this existence. There's no will at play. This was an interesting conversation because to me it was self-evident that a choice is being made in this existence. I mean,
For Hollywood, bro.
the shape, like 2 + 2 = 4, it's a choice per designer because it's not, it doesn't have to be as such. This is the point. But we take it like, no, if you put sunlight to this, of course, like if it's a black thing and sunlight is coming, of course, the light is going to be absorbed. It's not going to get reflected. Why? Because like black, of course, I mean, light comes and gets in, it cannot reflect out. There's no choice being made here, is our perception. This is our naturalistic perspective.
There's order. And even when creator creates, it creates by submitting to order.
His own will. Yeah, by submitting to his order. Either we take it as such, or even we don't take it as such, because in this perception, still you say that God put some rules initially, imagining God within time, like myself. Problematic, but let's say we did this. He first set some rules for himself, and now he has to follow those rules by himself. This still sounds a little religious. But apart from that, what do we generally do is, like, of course, I mean, black, it's black because it absorbs light. If light comes to this, of course, it's going to get absorbed. There's no choice being made here. Or like if I throw this to the glass, of course, glass will break. What are you talking about? Like, what do you expect? There's no choice. Like if it hits, of course, it breaks. فَعَالٌ لِمَا يُرِيدُ is saying that all those actions you see, like fa'al is dur and dur, it's an ongoing action. Is all the actions you see, he's the dur, and he says they are out of his will. It is, yeah.
What word is?
You read out of his choice. Every action in this existence is out of a choice. Do I observe it as such?
We kind of refer to like self-control, and we cannot attribute that to the creator.
Self-control meaning?
Like there are choices, and I need to control myself to do the right thing. That's what, like in English, we refer it as a willpower, right?
Mm-hmm.
So probably from there, it's hard to attribute it to God.
I see. So again, yeah, that's a good point. All these are speaking to us so that we understand it from our perspective, right? Then what does it mean to say that my creator is acting all his actions, like the actions here, Farad, like the fi'l, all the actions are by choice. Which actions? Number one. Number two, which will? Which choice?
So it kind of makes me think about like our own choices, like so whatever we choose, like it's not limited to that. Like that's whatever the creator would want, that would happen. Is also like what is being portrayed by the IIA.
Mm-hmm.
So what about the other thing, like free will? Like,
Okay.
then like, is it really that question? Like, do you understand this?
Yeah, I understood. So the question is, how about my choices? Inshallah, we'll get there. I always postpone it.
Can I say something about that? Or you read. It's interesting because like it's also a field, right? A word. It's not just a noun, irada. Like whatever he willing, right? It's an active thing that the creator does. It's not that creator thought about something, it designed something, and it happens according to this design. When you look at an action, in this action, you will see that somebody is making. It's making with ing, right? Somebody is making a choice there. Like when you drop something, it felt because there's a choice of it being falling in the action itself.
Yeah.
It's not written somewhere and according to this rule, it falls. No, in every instance of this falling, the action, like the act of willing is there.
And فعال in here is not فاعل لما يريد, but فعال لما يريد. So it's a doer, but the like there's double emphasis in the act itself, like doing and doing. So this action in the existence is an wherever you turn your head, there is an action you observe. Like even just let's take it simple. I turn my head this way, I do see something, right? Why do we say? Because light is being reflected. Let's go with very simple. Just the bare minimum thing that I observe as an action being done in there. How come life is reflecting? Light is reflecting, sorry. How come light is reflecting from there to my eyes? I mean, there's optic rules, right? Photons are going this way. If they go with this way and the reflective of surfaces, this and that, with that angle, it's going to come back. This is our perception. Who reflects the light? Is it the surface? Is it the photon when it hits the surface says, oh, now I need to go this way?
Well, we don't need any file there. It happens itself.
Or it happens, yeah, or I imagine some sort of a cloud-like thingy, like without doer, can there happen an action? I guess this is where it goes, because when we say it happens by itself, I have to attribute it to someone. Because a choice is being made. This photon could go this way, that way, or just stop there. Why is it coming? Like, just stop there, photon. Like, what's wrong with you, right? Or just pierce through the wall. A choice is being made there. What makes this choice? And this is an action everywhere. Wherever you turn your head, out of numberless choices, one is being made. And that choice is being made by the one who does it as he wishes. It's not that something is forcing that one to do it. Do I sense this too? Like, it's not that, oh, that choice is being made out of multiple choices presented to him. Well, irada in here is like a choice, like we can relate it to our choice. Of course, we are choosing out of limited choices that are presented to me. But when it comes to existence now, we are talking about the existence that we live in. The maker is the one who sets those choices. We are talking about a system for which no choice is there. It happens because it's designed to be so. Like the way this makes sense to me is, if you go with like those computer games in this, let's say, three-dimensional world, or let's go with a simpler case, two-dimensional cartoon, the artist chooses Bugs Bunny's, glass to be stronger than, the hammer of another character in there. It's a choice being made right there. He could have made it softer. He could have made it light-like. I mean, there's no limit that's being induced on the maker in this case. He chooses as he wills. So, and the big question among these pictures are, how is this related to the main theme of the surah? To remember the main theme again, started with the constellations, and then the promised day, and then the witness and the witnessed. And then there was this back and forth between the attitude of unbeliever towards the believer, a hatred because they believe in a certain Allah, and that certain Allah was, and the whole description came after this. The hatred was because of such an Allah. Because the believer kept believing in such an Allah, the believer kept finding security in such a he, such a believer, such a he, and I'm referring to he by huwa here, they have such a huwa in their perception that they were so secure. And now this is reminding me further of there I'm going to find security. This is going to increase the hatred of this believer. This is going to increase the security of the believer. All these descriptions. His grip, your Lord's grip is so strong. He is the one that gives the existence in the beginning and keeps recreating. He is forgiving and loving. He is the owner of the throne. So wherever you observe manifestation, he is right there. He is acting right there. And فَعَلٌ لِمَا يُرِيدُ, all the choices that you see being made again and again everywhere, he is the one that does all those choices right there. It's not like he set up the system, set up the rules, and then now the choices are being made automatically. Belief or feeling secure in such a creator is going to give me the paradise. And insistingly, هل أتاك حديث الجنود فرعون وثمود, has there come unto you the story of the armies of Pharaoh and Thamud? فَلِلَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا فِي تَكْذِيبٍ, no, but those who keep covering up live in denial. Like, despite this, now wrapping up the surah, saying that, have you heard about what happened to those people and their armies? Insistingly keeping to cover up the truth. Because now so far, as I studied the previous verses, it should have been clear to me that, of course, because it said indeed, indeed, all these emphasis and everything, how dare those people do not see that? How is it possible really to deny the maker or the choice that the maker keeps making at every moment? That becomes the question. And then the creator says, have you heard about Fir'aun and Thamud? Like, yeah, of course, there had been people. Despite now it's being so clear to you, there had been such people, which should also remind me that it's also possible for you to forget this too. Like right now, after studying these verses, now you're saying that, of course, such a creator, such a Lord exists, must exist. I observe it everywhere. Have you heard about Fir'aun? Have you heard about Thamud? Fir'aun is, as far as I understand, representing a single tyrant person who, of course, has his supporters and whatnot, and had armies supporting his tyranny. Thamud is more so like an elite society where it's not being ruled by a single tyrannical person like Pharaoh, but the elite of the society is turning against the messenger in this case. So it might be that in me also, I might have a tyrannical aspect. Like, for example, I am super self-confident of a person, like unrealistically self-confident. What is it that I'm going to? I don't have anything else. There are such people, right? You see that the guy is not smart or anything. Any other property doesn't exist, but the guy is super self-confident. That's the only thing he has, and he manipulates people with that. There are other type of people. You see that the guy has 4 or 5 very good qualities. And because of those 4 or 5 good qualities, he is just being, or she is being different than the rest of the people and thinks that she is better and denies the creator based on this aspects. Look at yourself. Maybe you don't have any other quality but one tyrannical quality with which you're opposing the creator, or potentially you can. Or you have 4 or 5 elites, or what do they say, meritocracy, like this sort of a thing, the meritorious aspects in you, as it had been in the people of Thamud. The ruling class is now rejecting the messenger. What is the common theme here? Covering up the truth and living in denial. This is a warning. It is possible, despite all these, to still insist on living in this denial. So be vigilant. Do not take it for granted. Do not say that today I am super convinced about Iman. super convinced about La ilaha illallah. It looks like it's happening. People can choose to insist on wrong for whatever reason, whatever joy is being taken from there.
Then don't stop just insisting it's wrong, but also trying to destroy the message, like both of them represent that. Maybe tying back to the previous ayahs about the hatred towards the believers. As you said at the very beginning, this hatred is there only when you have such a belief. That everything, every single moment, every single thing is being created actively by the Creator with His will. There is nothing out of His dominion. When you believe in such a Creator, there's no place for, let's say, a cultural belief. And in today's society, we say, oh, you are a Muslim, oh, nice, good for you. This is like, you don't eat pork, oh, yeah, you put such kind of, the clothes, how colorful, it's a good part of our mosaic and so on and so forth. So this is like a cultural thing. It's yours. I mean, you are Muslim because, you have such a dark skin or coming from such part of the earth. But when you say that, what are you talking about? What I'm representing here is for all humanity, and it concerns you as well. Because your life also being created by the same Creator. When you say that, when you believe in that, the hatred becomes, what are you doing? Like, we have our own system.
You're being judgmental.
Yes.
You're being judgmental to me now.
Exactly. You are the only right person, you think? Right? It becomes a conflict now, tension. And Quran says, and that's at least what I understand, is you have to have this tension. You have to create this tension. If people look at you and say, oh, you are a nice Muslim, we love you, we love all genders, we love all Muslims, we love all these, the cycles. Yeah. Every love is love. They love your neighbor, even if they are Muslim, and so on and so forth. If you are in such a society and you are being an active part of this society, yes, we have our Muslim identity. You have your own identity. Let's live in peace and so on. Quran says, there's no such thing. Your message, like I apologize for my lack of English, so I might be saying something wrong, but the message will disturb. Otherwise, there is something wrong.
Yeah, the message would disturb the one who insists on denying.
Exactly, not everyone, but yeah.
So if a person finds the message meaningful and leans towards saying that it makes sense, it's a separate issue, of course. But as long as the person is just saying exact opposite of what you're saying, and still we are coexisting, I mean, not necessarily by killing or whatever, but even nobody's getting disturbed by each other and whatnot, then there might be something wrong in there, in either side. So I know we are 2-3 minutes of time. We started a little late, but shall we finish it within the next 5 minutes, or would you like to? Let's finish it. So, Wallahu min wara'ihim muhit. Allah surrounds them from everywhere. Like, insisting as such is being surrounded. Bal huwa Qur'anun Majid. Now, very insistingly, Quran is being brought into sentence. Let's conclude with that. Bal huwa Qur'anun Majid. And it starts with Bal. Nay, but it's glorious Quran. Like, this is expected to be a response to a question. Or somebody thinks otherwise, you say, no, it's not, but rather, like this is the phrase. Bal huwa Qur'anun Majid, from, like, it looks like there's a hidden sentence before this. Bal huwa Qur'anun Majid. There must be some sort of a question in my mind now that this is being brought up. بل هو قرآن مجيد في لوح محفوظ, on a guarded tablet. How is this tying to the rest of the message? بل هو قرآن مجيد. It's a glorious Quran. It's a glorious message. Quran, something to be read. If we go with the literal meaning of the word Quran, بل هو قرآن مجيد. It's a very glorious reading. As it talked about, has the news of Ad and Pharaoh and Thamud came to you. This is not a story. It is indeed a very high, very glorious message. I am not telling you stories. I am not reading you history. It's a message 100% relevant to you. This is more valuable than any message. Like, at the end of the day, once we put the kids to bed and whatnot, like within the limited number of minutes that we can have a conversation with my wife, yesterday was saying that, oh, what happened today? And then gave a pause. I needed to pick up something. And she is excitingly waiting for what sort of a gossip I'm going to come up with. Right?
I was expecting some like a discussion about it.
بل هو قرآن مجيد. Which news in this life is going to make you get excited? Like you're in the prayer and your phone buzzes. Ooh, 2 more rak'ah, and then I'll see what was the message. Like this excitement, something new, somebody remembered you, send you a message. We get excited, right? Phone is right there. My creator is saying that this is a Quran Majid. This is not just your regular storybook. This is not this is not a mythology. Everything said in here, and it's not simply what's it called? Forgot the word. Conspiracy. They hate you guys. Especially in order to preserve a minority, what do they generally do? Like in Turkey, for example, this is how we were brought up. Greeks hate us. Syrians also hate us. Like we are surrounded by enemies. This was the general teaching. And who protects us? Of course, our state protects us. This is why we should put our allegiance to it. Like this is the picture that was being depicted. And in here, there's this fight between the unbeliever's perspective and believer was being put here. But my creator is saying that this is not a conspiracy either. This is not gossiping about them either. This is a message that's 100% relevant to you. It's a Quran Majid. This is not a lowly message. It's a glorious message. It's something so relevant to you. Take it as such. Do not take it lightly. And this is not guesswork of someone. Because if it was saying of one of the best shuyukh, let's say, which we respect, but still you would say that, well, people are fallible and whatnot, right? Even we would love to sometimes say this to prophets, right? Like prophet comes up with something that it's not fitting the norms of my society. As well, even prophets are fallible. Certain people say that. Some prince of a country, I heard that recently, the guy was saying such a thing. Anyways, even we would like to attribute this to prophets, right? Certain people at least do. This is saying that this is not a low person's suggestion. This is Quran Majid fi lawhin mahfuz. Concludes with this. It is written in a protected tablet. What does this mean now? Quran being written in a protected tablet. We can go with the technicalities of that. There had been a literature about what lawh mahfuz is. Like in the unseen, Quran is like the uncreated word of the creator. So the meaning is preserved. Sahih, correct. There's this other, which is creator even protects the words of Quran. It's not going to be altered. Historically a fact, yes. The creator says, even in another verse, we sent down Quran and we are going to protect it. Good, like it's a protected. What else? How can I bear witness to this? Quran being written in a protected tablet. It's a high word, but it's in a protected tablet. لوح محفوظ. Where's this protection coming from? Let's apply to this, right? Because it says, بل هو قرآن مجيد. This is Quran. What we read is Quran. A surah of Quran, but it is Quran. Part of Quran is Quran. Okay? Because Quran means absolute speech of the Creator. Absolute, we cannot split absolute into pieces, which means we are tapping into an absolute knowledge. So what we read is Quran, and it is في لوح محفوظ, in a protected tablet, which means you cannot corrupt it. The message that's being sent in there, go and check it. You will see that this is an uncorruptible truth. You cannot change this truth. And tablets are like, you can take this to be a tablet, a piece of paper, somebody has written something on it. Or your memories, it's a tablet, something that's being protected. Even like a leaf, if you look at a leaf, you will see that a lot of things are written on a leaf. Or more interestingly, maybe leaf is something that we know, but when people just analyze the sheets of rock, they say, oh, this happened in such and such geological ages. There's a history being recorded. So the creation itself is a tablet which records the history of creation. Every moment is a tablet that creates something. To me, this lawh mahfuz would also be understood as the Quran is written on the creation itself as well. And the creation is the testimony to the message of the Quran. So everywhere, it's uncorruptible. As long as the existence is out there, Quran's message is there. Uncorruptible, unerasable message, unfalsifiable message. The creation is going to tell you, speak to you about the truths of Quran. Likewise yourself. You are a tablet. And the truths of Quran is written on you as well. It's not only written in the memory of the Huffaz, which is another tablet, right? But it's written everywhere in this existence. It's not a law message which only applies to certain small number of academics or whatnot. It applies everywhere in this existence. The truth of this message applies everywhere in this existence. It's protected. It cannot be erased. Like if it was only a group of Huffaz's memories, we kill the Huffaz, the people who memorized Quran, Quran is destroyed. No, the message of Quran is being manifest everywhere in this existence. It's an unerasable message. With that, let's conclude. And inshallah, next week we will start a new surah. The last part has been a little quick, but may Allah make us benefit from that. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم وآخر دعواهم إن الحمد لله رب العالمين الفاتحة